Hello, and welcome to Finish My Story, where we try to tell narratively complex stories one line at a time. Yeah, we're here. You know we're here. Who's here? We are here. Who's we? It's...
You like to go last? Okay, I'm Jonathan. I'm a screenwriter and comedian.
I'm Les. I'm a storyteller.
And I'm Peter, and I'm an improv actor, and I do some writing and stuff too. And together we are... Finish My Story.
Mountie Squad.
Hey, call back. If you haven't listened to the episode about the Mountie Squad, it's episode 4, I think. I don't know. It's about
It is not episode 4.
Is it episode 5?
It is the Call Me Ishmael episode.
Yeah, that's episode 4.
That's episode 5.
Oh, it's episode 5. I failed you all at home. You should just stop listening now.
Don't listen to Peter.
No, stop listening now. Stop. Good. Now that they're not listening, we can finally pull on over on them.
Now that everyone's thoroughly confused, myself included.
Hey, listener at home, what do you think about this intro? Oh, interesting. Good point. Good point. Can you keep going? Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. No, yeah.
Let's get on with it.
Anyway, get on with it. It's Finish My Story, where we try to tell narratively complex stories one line at a time, as I mentioned. If it's your first time listening, welcome. We are going to tell stories.
One line
at a time.
And we're going to start with famous first lines of movies, film, television. But before we get started and talk a little bit more about a podcast, normally we ask, what narratives you've been watching lately. But you know what? We're going to do a holiday-themed episode. We kind of did a Halloween-themed episode before. It was a dark and stormy night, and then it ended up being about bakers. But spooky bakers. And then, so this is our holiday-themed episode. So, guys, what is your favorite holiday narrative? Meaning holiday movie or holiday story, or book. Les is, if you listened last week, is watching a lot of bad holiday narratives. But Les, what's your favorite one? And please don't pick something from the Lifetime Marathon.
How dare you? How dare you? Lifetime and Hallmark, those are like the pinnacles of Christmas movies, and they've turned Christmas movies into an industry. And I'm serious. Hallmark has actually revamped themselves and their brand because of the Christmas movie.
Really?
That's why they show Christmas movies like in July. There's articles about it. They've totally... But anyway,
what's your favorite?
Les just stalled so that he could think of a non-Hallmark or like...
No, how dare you, sir? Because I have my Christmas movie that I watch every year, and I've been watching it every year since the 90s. And it's not on Hallmark. It's not on Lifetime. You know what? It's on VH1. And the movie is...
Uh-oh.
A Diva's Christmas Carol, starring Vanessa Williams.
Vanessa Williams.
Yes, Vanessa Williams plays Ebony Scrooge.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
A pop star with a bad attitude until she's visited by 3 ghosts.
I guess
one of them is the ghost from Christmas Past, played by Kathy Griffin.
Kathy Griffin.
Oh, my God.
The one from Christmas Present was played by John Taylor from Duran Duran.
And then,
so not John Taylor Thomas from Home Improvement.
Oh, is it John Taylor? It's one of the Taylors.
Well,
and then
John
the Ghost
Taylor
of Christmas
Thomas.
Future was actually an episode of Behind the Music telling her about her future, and it made her change her evil ways.
That's so weird.
It's a good movie.
Is this
Les,
an ironic
thank
favorite?
you.
It's a good movie.
My ironic
Let's not
favorite
go
is
that
Jingle
far.
All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Sure.
That's my ironic favorite. And I tell people that's my favorite because I can't have real emotions because it's 2017.
Jamie!
Turbo Man!
Turbo Man.
Turbo Man parade.
No, it's like Turbo Man.
He does say Turbo Man. John, what's your favorite? Your actual favorite, not ironic.
Like the classic go-to Christmas movie, or at least that everyone gets annoyed at. But it is Die Hard.
Yeah.
Die Hard is amazing. Gremlins is up there.
Gremlins?
Even though I just saw
Okay.
Gremlins for the first time like a year ago.
What? Are you
John
kidding?
is a film writer,
John.
a screenwriter, and a film buff.
you
Who
are-
we're learning is has the weirdest gaps in his movie.
I
do
cannot
have some-
believe.
Well, I corrected the mistake. and it's great. And I filed it into my brain as though it is a childhood favorite.
Yeah.
Because it feels like those movies.
These last few weeks have been revelatory, John, about your true moviness.
I did not watch The Relevatory with Leo DiCaprio. I have. I just won't watch it again.
Yeah, once it was enough with that one.
Oh, man. Well, as you may know, John and I are Jews, and I'm not a big Christmas movie guy because of that. But my favorite Christmas narrative is what we'll choose our first line from, which I'll tell you in just a moment. Uh-oh. What would that be? Who knows? I don't know. Maybe you read the episode description and you know. Hopefully you didn't. Or maybe you don't even know. Anyway, let's finish my story. We're going to tell the stories, but we have some special things that we do to make it even more interesting than just us being weird. And those things are called a story pause. Like, let's say I'm telling a story. Like, Les is sitting here on his chair, and Les was rocking back and forth. And then he was done. And then John would say...
Story pause.
And then he would...
I would go into a little pause about... ask for clarification about Les's part of the story, or just make fun of Les's part of the story.
Yeah.
Just anything to sort of keep everyone on the same page.
Yeah, keep us all on the same page. And then
when I want, oh my God, that was
Go.
like wow,
Ooh.
that little
Jinx, you
stereo.
owe me a coat.
I will not do that. When I want to get back into the story,
Yeah,
we're
what
going to
happens?
get back into the groove.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say story resume.
Or resume story.
Thank you, Peter.
And then we'll get back into it. Also, we've introduced story punishments. Ooh, story punishment.
Les, since you got punished for the last episode.
Well, he hasn't been punished yet. We haven't. We're a little
He earned the punishment.
earned the punishment.
He will be doing the punishment.
Little peek behind the curtain. We're recording this before the punishment. Has been chosen by you, the at-home listener. How the story punishment is going to work. We're going to be listening to each other, and let's say I'm sitting here and I'm talking about Les, but I forgot Les's name, and I call him Frank. What's going to happen?
Well, we will get you checked for a stroke.
You go,
first of all.
Well, that'd be strange. I do know him pretty well, but also you'd say Bing,
Bing.
Bang.
and then you get binged, and at the end of the episode we count up the amount of bings you have, and then the person with the most bings gets story punished. Our first week, John had to do an embarrassing glow stick dance, which you can find on our social media channels, which is also how you, the listener at home, will vote on what the punishment should be. There will be 3 options for you to choose, and you can find us on those social media platforms at Finish My Story Podcast on Facebook or Instagram, and Finish Story Cast on Twitter. That's where you can vote.
Peter, you say that it was embarrassing, but I've heard a lot of people say that my dance was inspiring.
Who are these people?
Moving on.
Moving on. I think that's about all of the explanation we need for today. Well, we have to pick an order, don't we?
We do, and
I think
you're going to be giving the first.
I think
line.
I'm going to be giving the first line because it is my favorite.
So then you
movie.
get to pick the order.
Okay. Well, I'm going to point it out, and then John, as you've been so eloquently describing in the past, I want you to describe what that order is.
Oh.
So
we're going to go in the order starting with Peter.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be moved over. The baton will be passed to me.
Okay.
And then I will pass said baton to Les.
To Les.
Okay.
And then he'll pass the baton back to Peter.
Okay.
And we'll be going in that same order endlessly until time as we know it ends.
Time. The ever-flowing river.
Yes, that is from Jurassic Park.
Nice.
And the ride.
And the ride.
It is the dumbest line ever.
I'm glad we all got that. All right. Anything you need to tell the listener before we get going? No? And once again, this audio medium, nice long pauses of silence is a good way to say no. Okay, so here we go. The first line, in case you're wondering now, I'll tell you, is from my personal favorite, The Muppets Christmas Carol. And it's a line spoken by a pig. Boom. A pig, you say? Yes, a pig. But I'm not a pig. Unless I am. I don't know. That's not really for me to decide. It depends on how you want to insult me. This got off the rails. Let's just get into it.
What are you doing to
I don't
us?
know. I don't know what's happening to my brain. All right. Here we go. Well, it was a fine meal.
But not everybody at the table was happy.
Santa Claus did not like his steak one bit.
I always say I want my steak cooked rare, you dumb bunny, he said.
The bunny chef did not like being called dumb.
You see, the Easter Bunny had to take the chef's job because he was in between seasons.
This happened pretty often in the world of Holiday Land, because being holiday characters, they all worked seasonal shifts.
But since it was such a small community, people were there to help the others.
And the Easter Bunny used his talents as a chef to make people happy.
The rest of the table, however, was used to Santa's outbursts. As the most successful of the group, he was a bit of a diva.
But the bunny was not going to allow Santa Claus to get away with this one.
I'm gonna show that motherfucker what a bad stick really is, he muttered under his breath.
Story pause. Meanest bunny ever.
Yeah. Except for...
Greg?
Except for Banicula.
Greg the bunny?
No, Banicula.
Who's
Bunny
Banicula?
Dracula. Oh. No one ever read that book? No one ever read that book?
Banicula?
Okay. Yeah, it was
I know
a real
about
book.
Blackula, but not
Well,
Banicula.
Banicula is a real thing, guys. It was a book. I
So-
read it in elementary school.
So is Blackula.
Well, Blackula's great.
I've ruined
don't
us.
stab to me
Let's
about
not get.
Blackula.
Let's not get to Blackula. Let's get.
All
Story
right.
resume.
Well, that steak was cooked rare, Santa. In fact, I can prove it.
But Santa wouldn't listen, and he marched off into the next room to prepare for his long flight.
Mrs. Santa grabbed the Easter Bunny by the hand and said, "Oh, Easty, 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 I'm so sorry that Papa was acting like that."
Story pause, Mrs. Santa, not Mrs. Claus.
No.
Never heard her referred to as Mrs. Santa.
It's okay.
I love it. I love it. Story resume. The Easter Bunny accepted the somewhat condescending tone and pat on the head because he knew that Mrs. Santa was in love with him.
All the years of Mr. Santa's belittlement towards Mrs. Santa took its toll, and she too was ready to move on.
And she thought that the Easter Bunny would be the perfect person to move on with because you know what they say about bunnies.
They fuck like rabbits.
And Mrs. Santa had her eyes on this particular bun.
Because you see, Santa wasn't so good in the sack.
Maybe it was the years of eating cookies and drinking milk. Maybe it was the fact that he just had a tiny penis. But Santa no longer satisfied her.
Sexually.
So Mrs. Santa hatched a plan to get the Easter Bunny in her bed.
And it had started with switching out Santa's steak with the leprechauns.
Who were also at the North Pole to fill in for the workers' strike of many of the elves who too were upset with Santa.
You see, all of the holiday characters used the North Pole as a safe haven.
And the dinner on the night before Christmas Eve was the most widely celebrated dinner in all of Holiday Town.
Which was another name for the North Pole, but Santa liked to keep changing the name up just to keep things interesting.
Now, the Easter Bunny was going to use the fact that Santa was going to be gone for 24 hours to get Mrs. Santa to have fun with him.
And so he was pleasantly surprised to hear that Mrs. Santa had switched the stakes. No, he doesn't know that. Fuck.
Oh, Bing!
I just binged myself.
Bing!
I was gonna let you try to like fix yourself.
I was
right
gonna
the
fix
ship.
it. I was gonna fix it.
But we're man.
We're gonna bing myself.
We're gonna
I'm
bing
binging
it.
myself.
We're gonna bing it.
Well, I was trying to bring it back because we'd gotten far afield.
We're gonna bing you, and then you're gonna get to go back.
Well, I was trying to wrap it. I was trying to make us listen more. Am I gonna get binged for that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Bing. All right, Peter. You wanna think back and maybe give us another line that works with the story?
The Easter Bunny knew that Mrs. Santa was into him and knew he could use this not just for the fun, but also for the vengeance.
It wouldn't be enough for the bunny to just sleep with Mrs. Santa. He would have to rub it in Santa's face both before, during, and after.
And he knew that once he slept with her, there was nothing that Santa could do about it.
So he accepted the pat on the head and watched her walk away, staring longingly into the distance.
He hated to see her go, but he loved to watch her leave.
Because Mrs. Santa had a nice ass.
With Mrs. Santa and Santa now out of the room, he turned to the leprechauns and the Tooth Fairy and the Pumpkinhead Man and the fireworks display that turned into a human.
Wait, story pause. What holiday is the Tooth Fairy in?
Okay, that would be the most terrifying holiday ever if people's teeth just started falling out. Oh, today's the day the Tooth Fairy comes to collect all the loose teeth.
I realized after I said it that she isn't really a holiday character, but anyway, she's there. Or she got invited.
Story resumed.
And he said, "Now's our time."
To clean up the dinner.
And also to hide this camera in the wall to tape the sex session.
You see, Santa, as we mentioned, was a bit of a diva, and so everyone in Holiday Town hated him and was in on this plan.
For the leprechauns were still upset with Santa for making fun of St. Patrick's Day.
And the Tooth Fairy was upset with Santa for making her come to the North Pole even though she didn't even have a holiday.
And the fireworks display turned into a human was upset because it's a fireworks display. It's always popping off.
But in this one night, all of the holiday sidekicks were bound together for one purpose.
We're gonna take Santa down, said the Pumpkinhead Man.
Emotionally, of course.
Because I don't think there's anyone else in this world who can do what Santa does. It's really quite amazing, but we're gonna get him.
So, the Pumpkinhead Man and the Tooth Fairy and one of the leprechauns went into Santa's bedroom to hide the camera.
And when they were all done, they came out and gave the Easter Bunny the old thumbs up.
Meanwhile, Mrs. Santa was prepping herself to look mighty fine.
She took a hot bath, she put on her Spanx, and then threw on her sexiest red outfit.
You see, Mrs. Santa was no dummy either. She knew that the Easter Bunny would be angry at Santa after the steak incident and would want revenge on him.
She practiced lines of seduction in the mirror. Like,
Is that a carrot in your pants? Or are you just happy to see me?
Or,
hey, Easter Bunny, you're looking hot tonight.
Or,
I got something for you to peep.
Mrs. Santa was particularly happy with that one, so that's the line she was going to use on the Easter Bunny.
so she left her dressing room and went to the bedroom, ready for the evening.
Oh, Mr. Bunny, can you come in here? I seem to have dropped my candy cane, she said.
The door to the bedroom opened, and in walked Santa Claus.
I thought you were working, Mrs. Santa said to him.
You have to get out now before the Easter Bunny comes. We gotta trap him.
He can't know that you're okay with this because, well, then he might not want to do it.
You see, Santa loved to watch his wife with other men.
Is that story pause? Is that where we're going?
Yeah, why not?
I think that's arguably where we were going this entire time.
It's a modern day Santa. It's Santa 2017.
Story resume. And it also let the other holiday characters feel like they had some power.
Which Santa could use in videotape form to blackmail them if anything had arisen against him.
Okay, Santa, go into the secret room and don't make any noise so you can watch us and enjoy yourself.
Ho, 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 he said.
Insulting Mrs. Claus.
Who you calling a hoe?
Would you rather I called you a bitch? He said.
Because I won't do that because I'm a good guy.
You better not call me a bitch.
Oh, don't worry, I won't. I'm just joking. I have a twisted sense of humor. We're getting off track here. Let me go hide and then you can seduce the bunny guy thing.
Sounds good, bitch.
all of a sudden there was a knock at the door. Boom, boom, boom.
Who is it? Mrs. Santa asked.
Your sweetest little honey bun.
So Mrs. Santa opened the door. I've been waiting for you.
And so she said the line she had been practicing. And it sounded like...
The sexiest thing Mrs. Santa has ever said.
Is that a carrot in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
Bing.
No, we don't need to bing there.
We
Because
do need to bing
just
there.
because that's not the line that she was planning on saying doesn't mean that she had a mental slip and reverted back to an earlier line that she thought of. She's already messing up her plan, and so, I mean,
This is a weird bing. Unbing. I think Les got binged,
I ain't
but I'll
binging that.
accept the
I'm not
unbinging.
binging that.
Oh,
There's no bing for that.
Thanks, John.
Unbing.
I got your back.
No, it is just a carrot I carry a lot around, but I am happy to see you.
In the next room, Santa's phone started ringing again.
Bow chicka bow chicka bow chicka bow chicka bow bow bow.
What the hell is that?
That's the second time I've heard that sound. Are you playing sexy music for me?
Yes, she said, covering.
But then, all of a sudden, Santa felt a tickle in his nose. Achoo!
Did you just ventriloquist sneeze for me? Wow. If I were... Mrs. Santa, are you trying to seduce me?
Is that from something?
And the answer is yes.
I am trying to seduce you.
Santa was frantically plugging his nose in the next room to prevent himself from sneezing and silencing his cell phone at the same time. Someone was incessantly calling him.
But as Mrs. Santa sat the Easter Bunny on the bed, Santa couldn't hold in his next sneeze anymore, and he went, "Achoo!"
Mrs. Santa, that ventriloquist sneezing act is really amazing. You're going to have to show me how it's done. Can you do it again for me right now?
Stop stalling and take me.
So the Easter Bunny grabbed Mrs. Santa and flipped her over. But then he looked at the wall and he saw a red light.
Oh no, she's going to see my recording. I'll have to make sure she doesn't see that red light. Why would those idiots use a camera that has a red light on it? He muttered to himself.
And so the Easter Bunny tried to do a seductive dance to get Mrs. Santa's eyes away from the red light behind the door.
He wiggled around the room.
Oh, Mr. Bunny, you don't need to do a dance like that. You can just take me right now, right here.
You could slice the sexual tension in the room with a butter knife.
The thought of being watched was actually turning Mrs. Santa on as well.
And she was turned on enough already.
At that moment, a voice from behind the door with the red light, which the Easter Bunny thought was his own recording, a voice echoed out.
Uh-oh. I'm late.
Wait a minute, the Easter Bunny said. That can't have been a ventriloquist laugh or voice thing because I'm so close to you right now and I can feel your vibrations on your neck. Where was that voice coming from?
The secret door opened and Santa tried to sneak his way by without anyone noticing. But Mrs. Santa and the Easter Bunny stared at him the whole time.
And Santa was muttering to himself, oh no, I'm late. I gotta go. I gotta get those toys out there.
I'm late for a very important date.
This is the song that Santa would sing every time he'd break into somebody's home to not be seen. It was his stealth song.
But as he was sneaking by, trying not to get caught, the Easter Bunny looked at him and said, hey, what's going on here?
Santa said.
In the meantime, the Easter Bunny went into the secret room with the red light and saw what appeared to be hundreds of tapes with handwritten descriptions.
There were descriptions like Leprechaun Duo 1, 4th of July Fireworks 2, Pumpkin Goes to Town 1, and the room was just full of these tapes.
But it wasn't until the Easter Bunny saw the video marked Mrs. Santa rides the Veterans Day horse that he knew what was going on.
What are these tapes? The Easter Bunny said.
Santa looked like he had been busted. Okay. I like to watch my wife with others.
I can't really get it up for normal sex, and, well, this just seemed like a good workaround. Or reach around. I'm sorry, this isn't the time for jokes.
Mrs. Santa laughed.
The Easter Bunny was shocked and disgusted.
Well, does everyone in these videos know they were being taped?
Why else would the leprechauns clean after every meal? Santa said.
The Easter Bunny didn't know what to do.
But wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. They all wanted me to videotape you myself to try and blackmail or hurt you, but if you would like that, wait, what?
Strange things are afoot at the North Pole.
And you know what's even stranger? You're turning me on right now, just looking at you, Santa said.
But I have to go. I'm late for a very important sleigh ride, and I need to go bring toys to kids. But know this, Mr. Bunny. It's a long, cold ride, and I need to keep myself warm. The thought of you will do just the trick.
The Easter Bunny saw Mr. Santa's sleigh keys hanging by the door, and they both made eye contact with each other, knowing they would both reach for the keys.
The Easter Bunny ran to grab the keys quickly.
But no one could match Santa's top speed. He may have been fat, but he was also fast.
And he rolled toward the keys like the big ball at the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and gained speed faster than even the Easter Bunny could go.
He then rolled over the Easter Bunny before he could get to the keys. Ah! I'm smushed!
The Easter Bunny yelled.
To Mrs. Santa's pleasure and delight.
Get off me! The Easter Bunny yelled, but Santa grabbed the keys and laughed. Oh, 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 oh.
I have to go make a bunch of little boys and girls very happy. Ha 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 ha.
Santa locked the Easter Bunny inside the bedroom with Mrs. Claus and headed towards the sleigh.
The Easter Bunny looked at Mrs. Claus.
Well, I'm smushed, and I don't know if I'll survive the night in these horrific injuries being locked in this room. So, you want to go?
He said to Mrs. Claus so that she wouldn't think he was thinking of some ulterior plan to cut off Mr. Santa at the sleigh.
Sure, Mrs. Santa said back.
So she climbed on top of him and rode him like a bicycle.
But before anything gross happened, the Easter Bunny sneezed a tiny Easter Bunny sneeze, which we all know acts like a tranquilizer, and rendered Mrs. Santa unconscious.
Once Mrs. Santa was unconscious, he ran to the door and picked the lock and unlocked it.
And there was Santa, clapping.
Santa menacingly inched towards the Easter Bunny and backed him into the room where Mrs. Claus was unconscious.
Okay, Buns, you got two choices. You can either
stay here in this room and get framed for the unconscioning of Mrs. Claus, or you can accept my offer to be my new head reindeer.
Story pause. I would actually watch a movie called The Unconscioning of Mrs. Claus.
Mrs. Santa.
Oh, Mrs. Santa. The Claus. Okay, story resume. The Easter Bunny wasn't sure if Mr. Santa were trying to play a trick on him, but being head reindeer was one of the Easter Bunny's oldest desires.
Of course I'll take the job. What are you... Of course.
You see, Mr. Santa said, Rudolph's gotten a little too big for his britches, and I can't have him around anymore. So I need a new head reindeer. And I wanted someone who's got pluck, who's got tenacity, and who's willing to sleep with my wife.
Which Rudolph would never do, as many times as I asked and pleaded with him.
The Easter Bunny was so happy.
So you're telling me I get to lead your sleigh and also fuck your wife all the time?
Yeah, I'm saying that's the condition of the agreement, and yes.
And you'll also get a 10% raise.
And you can still do your job as the Easter Bunny. You'll now just have winter work as well.
What's 10% of 0? The Easter Bunny asked.
The fact that you don't have to cook anymore.
Well, that makes mathematical sense, the Easter Bunny said. I'll take the job. As I said before, yes.
The Easter Bunny moved his arms to usher Santa to walk ahead and that he would follow.
Things are looking up, he said to himself.
And that's how we got a bunny leading Santa's sleigh, which we all now know.
And that is the reason why Mrs. Claus has been sleeping for 47 years.
The end.
Oh, man.
I gotta say, the Easter Bunny is a jerk.
Yeah.
Because he found out that there was like a blackmailing scheme going on in the North Pole, tricked Santa enough, who knows if he tricked him, but he convinced Santa that he was on his side, and then allowed the blackmailing scheme to continue with all of the tapes. Like, he didn't try to destroy them, he didn't try to like convince, and like he just sort of went with the flow, which I think is a tale, like a mirroring tale of modern capitalism.
Yeah.
That was the plan, always. That was the plan of this episode.
Our first actual, like, explicitly weird episode. Where
Yeah.
I was going to bring up earlier that, like, we have on iTunes, or that it says that we are, an explicit
yeah.
podcast. And
Well, now we are.
I was like, I don't think that we were, but now I'm not going to bring up the point that we are not explicit, because that was pretty gross.
No, kids, please, if you're listening to this and you're a child, well, we just scarred you for life. Man. Yeah. Great work, guys. Let's make our holiday episode the most explicit, gross thing.
I tried everything to get
Those
away from
bunny
it.
sex.
You guys love hopping up on older women like bicycles.
Listen.
Oh, hey, bunny, hop. Hey.
It's not that I like it so much as I follow where the story takes us.
Yeah, okay.
Also, as someone asked me the other day, do you guys like plan your episodes at all? And I think this one is proof that we do not plan anything.
This puts the kibosh on that.
Yes. What did you learn anything today? What did you learn today?
Yeah.
What did you learn today?
Well, I learned that, mostly Jews write Christmas stories.
That's actually true.
It's true. And
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
mostly
Jews who write the Christmas stories.
Oh.
But maybe we shouldn't.
But yeah, this to me taught me that shouldn't be the case always.
Les, what did you learn?
Get Santa's order right.
Oh,
Nope.
But it was Mrs. Claus who switched the meats.
there were so many weird levels to that. There were multiple betrayals. There were like people with schemes. The schemes never came back. We never explored the life of the fire.
Actually, I
fireworks
learned
man.
that like bunny sperm must be potent if it puts you to sleep for 47 years.
No, it's not the
sperm. It's this knockout
it's the
gas.
Sneeze.
The knockout sneeze.
Knockout gas.
Well, bunny sneezes are potent if they put you to sleep
Yeah.
for 47 years.
Bunny Kevorkian.
Yeah,
Pull
yeah,
the
yeah.
plug.
I learned that.
Did you know that Santa created the NSA? That's what the S in NSA stands for. He's always listening. He's always watching.
He knows when you're asleep. He knows when you're awake.
Yeah, and he
knows
knows
when
that
you're
because
very
he's
good.
watching
So be
for
good.
pleasure.
I learned that there are multiple St. Patrick's Day leprechauns. Like, there's only one Santa. There's only one Tooth Fairy. There's only one fireworks.
Wait, I still love that the tooth fairy's there.
There's only one Tooth Fairy. There's only one fireworks display turned into a human, but there are multiple leprechauns. Only one Veterans Day horse. What are some other holiday creatures? We have the Pumpkinhead Man.
Oh, in the story or just in general?
Or in general.
Is there the Arbor Day tree?
The Cupid
Cupid.
from Valentine's Day.
Man, that naked butt flying around North Pole,
Man,
probably working on
pretty cold.
Santa.
Oh,
And
yikes.
Mrs. Santa.
We have the New Year's Eve
Ball man.
champagne glass.
the falling
Just
balls.
a giant. He takes forever to get anywhere. We have
Thanksgiving turkey man.
Thanksgiving Turkey Man. Wouldn't that just be like a pilgrim?
No.
Isn't that kind of the mascot already?
No, Peter,
A
you just
turkey?
don't understand.
Or isn't it just a turkey, not a turkey man? Isn't that already the mascot?
turkey
Just a
man.
turkey?
Turkey man.
Turkey. Okay. We have the April showers umbrella.
April showers is not a holiday.
Yeah, that's not a holiday.
Like the April Fool's fool.
Here we go. The April Fool's Fool. I like the Arbor Day tree last. That was good. We kind of ran over that one, but I liked it. And then, of course, everyone's favorite, Martin Luther King Jr.
Who is famous for which day?
Columbus Day.
Triggered.
I'm gonna cut that one.
I hope you cut it just so that you hear a blank, like a little bit of empty space, and then you're, I'm definitely going to cut that one. So we know you said something horrible.
Actually, I might
So
do
I'm
that.
not the only horrible person on the podcast.
I might actually do that.
Oh, wait, so Peter, you're punished.
Oh, we get to punish Peter.
That's a bad pun. I caught myself. All right.
And then you try to set me up for a punishment, and I just went
Yeah.
right by that.
And then you just unbinged less because you wanted to see me punished.
That's not true, because if I didn't unbing less, then the two of you would be bing, and you'd have to do a joint punishment, which we're not going to do this early. We're going to just punish Peter.
Well, anyway, yes, I'm gonna be punished. So, vote on the punishment at Finish My Story Podcast on Facebook or Instagram. Finish Storycast on Twitter. Please vote. I don't think I can be embarrassed. So, come at me. Come at me, bro. This is of the internet and podcast community.
Also, be sure to let us know the things that you learned in these podcasts.
Yeah, please.
We want
I
to
like
know what
that.
you're learning. We want to know just everything you're thinking.
And if you have, like, I don't know, you want to, like, do some drawings of our episodes, you can send those over to us as well. Maybe not this one. This isn't the best episode to start drawing our stories. But if you want, like, I don't know, draw Richard Mouse or, like, draw a baker, go for it.
Although I'd love like a close-up illustration of like Santa's eyes with the red light like,
Beep.
glowing up on his face and like him looking through a crack in the door. Like that.
That would be pretty good.
Artists out
actually.
there, give me that picture.
Yeah. All right. Does anyone have anything else to add? No. Happy
No.
holidays, guys.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Again, I'm Peter.
I'm John.
I'm Les.
Have a great holiday time, or Hanukkah, or Diwali, or Christmas, or New Year's, or, whatever you want. Just have, enjoy that, in the time with the rest of your day and stuff.
And watch out for Santa, because he is watching you.
Ho, ho, ho.